The world of our ancestors was carved by sword and plough, a place of shifting borders and fleeting kings. Amidst chaos, monasteries stood as stone islands of prayer and purpose, sanctuaries for the soul of a civilization. Within their thick walls, monks guarded the fragile flame of knowledge, turning their backs on war and wealth. For centuries, these places offered shelter and healing, beacons of hope in a world of uncertainty. Each monastery stood as a testament to endurance and faith, keepers of civilization's flame. The whispering stones of time still echo with their legacy. Trouble often arrived as a rumor, a whisper of armies on the march, a new warlord hungry for plunder. The monks listened, knowing what was coming, the sound of doom in marching feet. Armies like locusts consumed everything: food, livestock, shelter. A prosperous monastery was an irresistible prize. Sometimes kings demanded supplies as tax. Refusal meant retribution. The abbot walked a tightrope, giving enough to survive the winter but never enough to invite ruin. Worse were the raiders, the Vikings, who saw monasteries as treasure chests, not houses of God. Their longships appeared from the mist, bringing fire and steel. The monks faced a stark choice: flee or stand and face a bloody end. Civil war brought its own chaos, turning monasteries into battlegrounds and fortresses. Monks could be forced to choose sides, their fate tied to the fortunes of a single, unreliable patron. Protection was never free. It came with strings and risks. In every conflict, the monastery's survival hung by a thread. The monks endured, adapting to each new threat, always at the mercy of the world beyond their walls. Their resilience was tested again and again, but their purpose never wavered. Under threat, monks became more than men of prayer. They were guardians of a legacy. Their greatest treasure was knowledge, preserved in the scriptorium. By candlelight, they copied not just the Bible, but the wisdom of Rome and Greece. When danger loomed, their first duty was to save the books, packed in chests hidden in crypts or carried into the wild. Sacred relics too were concealed inside statues, beneath altars, or smuggled out as humble bundles. These acts of preservation were defiance. Even if walls fell, the spirit endured. Warlords could take gold, but not faith or knowledge. By saving these things, monks planted seeds for a future they might never see. They kept the flame of civilization alive, sheltering it against the gales of war. Their work was a silent resistance, a promise that wisdom and hope would outlast violence. Each manuscript saved was a victory over oblivion. The monks' quiet heroism shaped the world to come. In darkness they kept the light burning. Survival demanded more than hiding treasures. It required shrewd diplomacy. Abbots forged alliances with local lords, trading prayers for protection. Sometimes they negotiated directly with enemies, offering tribute to spare the monastery. These tense encounters could mean life or death. Over time, monasteries became fortresses, thick walls, watchtowers, even moats. Monks learned the arts of defense, standing on walls to repel attackers. Yet their greatest defense was faith, a belief that God protected their sacred space. This conviction gave them courage, inspiring those who sought refuge within. Their spiritual certainty sometimes unsettled even their enemies. The monastery's strength was not just in stone, but in the unbreakable resolve of its community. Faith and pragmatism together kept the gates closed against the storm. Travel to Lindisfarne, 793, a peaceful island shattered by Viking longships. The raiders stormed the monastery, axes splintering doors, blood staining the church. Treasures were looted, relics smashed, buildings set ablaze. Amid chaos, a few monks fled with their greatest treasures, St. Cuthbert's body and the Lindisfarne Gospels. They escaped by boat, but a storm claimed the precious book, lost to the sea. Heartbroken, the monks reached the mainland, only for a miracle to unfold. The tide receded, revealing the Gospels unharmed on the sand. It was a sign. Faith had not been abandoned. Their journey as guardians began anew, hope restored. The story of Lindisfarne became legend, a testament to resilience and belief. Even in devastation, the monks' courage preserved what mattered most. Their faith turned disaster into renewal. The legacy of Lindisfarne endures, a beacon in the long dark. In every age, such stories remind us of the power of hope. High on an Italian peak, Monte Cassino stood as a fortress of faith and learning. Its strategic position made it a target for centuries. Sacked, plundered, rebuilt. In World War II, it lay on the front lines. Allied bombers reduced it to rubble. The world mourned the loss of a cultural treasure. Yet, foresight saved its soul. Months before, German officers helped evacuate the abbey's archives and masterpieces to the Vatican. The monks preserved their legacy even as the walls fell. When peace returned, rebuilding began, founded on what had been saved. Monte Cassino's story is one of survival through faith, wisdom, and timely action. Its ruins became a symbol of endurance and rebirth. The spirit of the monastery outlasted the destruction of war. After attack, the monks returned to ruins, smoke, silence, and loss. Despair seemed inevitable, but the work of rebuilding began at once. They restored the spiritual heart first, a cross amidst rubble, prayers rising from devastation. The monastery was more than buildings, it was a community of faith. Aid arrived from other monasteries, local lords and villagers. Rebuilding became a shared act of resilience. Each cycle of destruction and rebirth forged legends of endurance. The new walls stood as symbols of hope, stronger than the forces that tried to destroy them. Monasteries became monuments to the power of collective will. Their survival inspired all who witnessed their rebirth. In rebuilding, they proved that faith and community could outlast any darkness. The story of each monastery was a promise: hope endures. Across history, the survival of monasteries seems miraculous, peaceful islands in oceans of war. Their endurance came from faith and pragmatism, wisdom and courage. They preserved ancient manuscripts, founded universities, and shaped the world's knowledge. Monasteries were not just keepers of the past, but builders of the future. Their legacy is found in literature, science, and the quiet places of reflection they inspired. They remind us of the need for sanctuaries, places set apart for learning and peace. In turbulent times, the image of the monastery still resonates. Ruined abbeys are monuments to the enduring human spirit. The story of the monasteries is a lesson in resilience and hope. Even when the world tears itself apart, some dedicate their lives to holding it together. They are the keepers of the flame, the builders of the future. Their light shines in the long dark, promising that dawn will come. Their true legacy is the quiet, triumphant survival of hope itself.